Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. And before we start, I want to make two announcements. Since we are doing this 1 week of free webinar, I want to thank all of you for help sharing it. I have learned of a better way of how you can share it rather than go to my Facebook channel and share it. If you Google Forex trading or if you Google Forex free webinar, my video will pop up and then you watch the video on the Google, not Google, you can go to Facebook, YouTube search. Go to the search, Google free webinar, my video, free Forex webinar, my video will pop up. Watch the video there and then share it. I was told that if you do it that way, the search engine will share the video to more people who are looking for Forex trading or Forex webinar or something like that. That's a way to get so that the search engine sees it as important and share it more. So if all of you, I think 1,000 something of you have watched the first webinar. If all of you who watch this webinar can do that, it will be amazing. You will help somebody else see the webinar. You can share it to them directly as well. So thank you guys for that. The second thing is I've got a lot of questions whether I still do course and whether I still train people. Yes, we still do. So you can either join the course with the full payment, which is going to be in October, or you can join the course as an installment, because there are a lot of traders who are complaining they can't afford to pay for the course in one go. You can pay for it twice, 3 times, 4 times, or you can pay in a monthly installment for about a year. Those traders who started the installment last year, they're already in the group and they will be taking the course in October. So that is for that part. If you want more information of that, please send me a Skype message. Let me just give the Skype message pretty fast. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So send me a Skype message to Mangal 457. Right, this is a number 457. Don't mistake. Mangal 457. Send me a Skype message that you're interested. You will get the information for the course, for the full course, as well as for the installment program. If you know anybody who's interested, share it to them. There's another question I got on Facebook. What do we do in our group? Right? Somebody sent in YouTube, somebody sent a question. What do you do in your group? Right? Like they wanted my traders to go on that. If my traders have the time, you can go on YouTube and you see that question. You can answer that person. What do we do in here? I think there's an amazing lot of things we do in here that traders don't know about. I mean, honestly, let's say you were not in my group. Most of you, when you join, you were amazed by what we do. And then you see the question, what we are doing right now in the trading room, and you have to be amazed by that. This week's trading is being super amazing. I can tell you there's a lot of winning trades starting from the very start of the week. And there's still a lot more to go. So, and we're not only doing that for the trading, we're doing that for the learning process. This morning, we did a session of replay learning that is amazing. The traders who were there could tell you how much they learned within a 30-minute span. So we will keep doing that, and we'll keep using the trading room to make not only for trading, but also for learning process, which enhance, I get the questions, I see where you're making mistakes, and then I manage to correct it. Today, what I want to start with I want to start with all the Aussie pairs, because there's an amazing, huge move to come in the Aussie, not right now, maybe in a couple months. But if you really want to get that next big move and get the maximum out of it, you have to be prepared. So you will have a couple months to prepare yourself for it. I'm not going to start with the Aussie dollar. I'm going to start with the Aussie Swiss, because this one is a pattern that all of you know. The reason I'm starting with this is because this is a crystal clear pattern that all of you know. I'm going to take out everything, and I'm going to go to the weekly so you can see what we're looking at. This is the weekly structure. See, when they're making a move, I want you to see this move. See, when they started to reverse after a flat like this, when they started to reverse, they make an impulse and you get a flat like this. See that piece there? Look what happens after that. Look what happens after that. We are at a starting point of this one. See this here? Well, this is what we were expecting after that. And with the same speed. So if you copy this and you flip it, this is what you're going to get. We're almost completing that flat. Time-wise, if you look at this, you have 1, 2, 3. See the internal structures? What do we have in here? We have 1, we have 2, and I think we may be completing the 3. It could get a little more complex than that, but you can see it pretty clear. Time-wise, if you count this one took how long? These are reversal points. That's why I'm taking this one. This one took from there to about this one, which is 168 days. If you come here and you look at this one, we'll start from here and we'll go to where we are now. We're 119 days. So plus minus 1 or 2 months more, and this up move is going to start. And you don't want to miss it, because that is going to be huge and it's going to be really, really fast, right? It's going to be like this going. 90% of traders out there will miss that move because they have no clue it is going to happen. We'll see. We'll all see that when this finish, if it is going to happen. Well, but this is only on the Aussie Swiss. Maybe it's a Swiss movement, not an Aussie movement, right? Maybe it's a Swiss is going to go up that will cause this. So how do we know whether it's the Australian dollar that will be causing that? You look at the Aussie CAD. I don't even have to explain here, right? You can go to the weekly. We're on the weekly. You can see that, right? Sharp impulse, and you're in that correction. Very similar. Can this stay a little longer in that correction? Yes. I believe we can stay a little longer in here, and it might get a little more complex, but that's not a problem. We understand each part of this as it's developing. We might get a piece not correct at this point. We'll just wait for the confirmation, and we'll get the entire thing correct. I'm going to go to the Euro Aus. The Euro Aus will be the opposite because Aussie is at the back. You will get an impulse to the downside, and you're going to get a flat. When this is finished, we're going to go down, right? Can it be more complex? I believe this one, and all of them might be a little more complex, which means you might be looking at a 1, 2, 3, come back here, go back up there, and then come down. That possibility exists, but that's not a problem. We'll be in this sell, we'll be in that buy, and then we will get this move down. That move down is huge, actually. If you go back to the weekly here, look what that move could be. Let me just give you an idea what that move could be. Remember when we were toying with the idea that this could be the big flat in the middle there? And that is because this had a 1, 2, 3, this came down, and now you can see what you're looking. You're looking at this possibility coming down, right? So after that flat, you're coming to retest this low. See? That is what you're expecting. Once this is completed, we're coming to retest this low. Now, it's not going to go in a straight line. This one came pretty sharp. You can see that. But if you look at it in the smaller time frame, there were a lot of corrections. After the big correction here, this was the first big one. You got a lot of small corrections. And that's why wave analysis is the thing you need to be able to trade this accurately. Once we go up, and I think we'll go up some more, the downtrend could start. And if it starts, you don't want to miss it. Now, it's not as easy as it looks when I show you. I think by now you're getting the grip. Only this morning, I also realized that wave analysis is very, very difficult. It's not that easy. I don't know how many people think they mastered it, but I was in the trading room this morning when my traders were trying to figure out, and I'm telling you, very experienced, successful traders trying to figure out gold, and I send them back to do practice session, and they had a half-hour practice session with me where they were learning that sometimes it can be confusing, but you have to stick to the rules and the principles that we use to analyze wave, and then it becomes very simple. So we're looking at these, and we will see how these patterns develop in here. We'll see how these patterns develop, and as they develop, we'll see them. Just like we saw the down move, just like we saw this possible coming here, and we'll see where it goes from there. So Pound Aus, this is another one. I think you would have been with me in my trading room when I tell you this will break to the downside. I think we've mentioned that like a million times. You got an impulse, you get a correction, you're going to get a next impulse. I don't think this one will go very far. I most likely think they will break the low, which means we'll probably get something like this. See this one here, like that. And we might even go back up. There's a possibility we might go back up because we're in this pattern. Very similar to this. It could also be in this case. You see in this case, this was a running flat, right? Like a 1, 2, 3, and they went back up to complete this one. I don't think we'll make a running flat, but I'm not excluding a running flat possibility. So instead of stopping here, we can go all the way to the low, much lower than this before we go back up. That possibility exists. What I want you to see is that these trades are going to happen, right? And if now we will go to the Aussie dollar. See, those are flat patterns that I show you. The Aussie dollar does not have a flat pattern, right? We're here. And if you come back to the daily, the Aussie has this pattern. The Aussie dollar has this pattern. Now, this pattern is not the pattern of the Aussie dollar. This one that you see on top here, this didn't come from the Aussie dollar. This is a copy of a pattern that is absolutely similar to what Aussie dollar is doing right now. We copied that, I think, yesterday. We have to put it, stretch it a little more like this, and then bring it down. Probably squeeze it back, put it like this. This one was copied from the Singapore Aussie dollar. See that? This is the one we copied. So this is what you're seeing, very similar. I think this is a running flat. We're looking for a possible running flat. And if this running flat is completed, we're gonna go. Now, if you're wrong about the running flat, let's just assume that this was a contracting flat here, then this would become a bigger correction here. Looking at the fact that all the Aussie pairs, the ones with the regular flats, are already completing that regular flat for a move, a big move to start, then there's a likelihood that this is a running flat, and the big move, once we are finished with this, we could be starting, oh, sorry, wrong one. Once we are finished with this, we could be starting the next big move to the upside, because this would be a perfect one. Three Aussie pairs has this pattern: Aussie dollar, Aussie Singaporean, and Aussie Yen. I left Aussie Yen for the last because this one is classical, and that is why I think this is the right running flat we're looking at, because this one is classical. The Singaporean and the Aussie dollar might not show you clearly that it's a running flat, but all of you who were with me would remember that I actually leave this arrow here to remind you that we are going to get a move down like that. It is going to happen. Even when we were breaking these stops and it was going up and it was going up, and I was like, guys, they have to make one of that, because that completes what we see. That's how we know the market behaves. So now that that is completed, I don't know if it's complete, it could be an expanding flat, which means they could come lower and then go. But when it is completed and they turn, and we will see that turning point, we are going to get another impulse to the upside whenever that is completed. So let's go to the weekly and see. What are the chances of us getting an impulse to the upside? I think it's very likely. It is very likely that the question is, how long will they spend in this one? Normally, they don't spend very long. I think, they could stay in this consolidation for a much longer time, make much more complex patterns than the ones I'm showing you. But the ones I'm showing you are already by themselves a complete flat in the ones that has flats, right? And in these cases of running flat, they're complete. Can that turn into something more complex and longer drawn out? Of course. But that's not a problem. The problem is we can recognize them. That's the point. We can recognize them where most traders cannot recognize them. And that's the advantage. The advantage of is knowing before the fact, not after the fact. Not after things have moved, then you're going to say, oh, look, Aussie is going up because this happens in Australia. They found, I don't know, what they're going to find, gold, and suddenly the Australian economy is booming and everything is going. That's after the fact. You can't trade that. You have to be able to recognize these patterns before they happen. And that's what we're doing here. Trying to show you these patterns before they happen and how you're going to trade them on a much lower time frame. But you have to be able to recognize them. So I think the Aussie Swiss, I've been telling you since last year that this thing is going to go back up. You can go and check the last year webinars that this is an all-time low and this is going to go back and the up move is going to be huge. I don't think this pattern is completed time-wise. Time-wise, it's okay, it can go, but I think they might spend some more time in there. We will see. We'll track it as it's behaving. Each piece of it we'll track. We'll try to figure out what's the internals of each pattern. We'll see when it's turning. We'll be able to identify, well, this might be the turn for the upside, right? And right now, they're just going down. So with that said, you can go and pick a number more of Aussie pairs. I don't know, Aussie, Norwegian, Aussie, whatever. You go pick all the Aussie pairs you can find. I didn't show Aussie, New Zealand, because this also has a correction, but this is slightly different. And I think this is slightly different because of the New Zealand part of it. I'll show you that one. Where is it? Aussie, New Zealand. Because this one is going to go up a little, but I think New Zealand might be the problem here. After this one is going to come down. So that move up will be very, very slow, but this move up could be, which means not only is Aussie going to go up, so is New Zealand. And New Zealand might go up much faster than the Aussie. So we might end up with this coming down really slow, but coming downwards. Can this go up really, really slow while the two of them are going up? That is possible. I do expect this to go up one more to the top there, and then we'll see. We're looking for a possible running flat. From there, it's going to come down. So this one might not be an attractive trading one, but it's showing you the upside still. But in terms of trading, it might not go very fast. It might not go very well. In terms of trading, we have a number of them that are looking really great for trading. So let's go and start the webinar. So I'm going to put this here and go back to the 1 hour and show you where we are. So let's start with the 4 hour because we broke the low. So now that we've broken the low, the question comes back. Remember, we had two options. Either this is all the flat, and we are going down now for the daily correction. We're in a big daily correction right now. I think we all know that, right? So every flag we get, like I told you yesterday, every flag you get, you can sell, and you will have to take profit. So if you sold that flag, I hope you took profit. If this makes a flag here today, correction here today, I think most likely you're going to get a correction. We can look for a sell. It's not a reversal as yet. Take profit, right? If we see the reversal, and the reversal, I'll be looking for a sharp impulse and something better than this. For example, this is deep. So once it goes so deep, I'm assuming they will do this and we will go down. That would be this, right? So if we get the sell, we'll take the sell trade because we don't know how deep and how far this can go. There are two options that we're not going to discuss the options here. I think that's enough said. My trading room, we will discuss the two options. And the one is that they can go way back to the low, right? So right now we're looking for a flat and we will look for a continuation. If at some point we think this is changing direction to go back up, right? After breaking the low, if we think that they're going to go back up to make a new high or to make a possible running flat, right? Then we will look at that. The possible running flat would be this coming back up to this level and then fall. We would probably look at all of this as a running flat. Both options are open, but we will wait for the confirmation of either. Right now, the downside is happening, so we will take trades to the downside. If we see that turning happening and we get a confirmation of the upside, we will go with the running flat pattern. And one of the reasons that I think this running flat pattern is possible, the only reason I think it is possible is because of gold. See, gold has a very similar pattern. This is either a contracting flattened gold. This piece here is a contracting flat. From the start of the week, I've been telling you that. Two options. That is a contracting flat, and we're going down for a C wave that will look strange. And I happen to show them in gold that this is not the strangest of the C wave that went down. So I did an experiment with my guys. We did a replay from the start of the weekly charts from this point here this morning. And I was showing them what their thought process was when this was happening. And you would be surprised that the thought process while this was happening was that we were going to make another move up. That was your thought process. And that was absolutely correct at some stage in that correction until you have confirmation that it's actually going to go down. Right? So it's easy to hindsight say, oh, look at this. We saw this. This is amazing. No. That's the important thing of what wave analysis gives it. There might be another option. And if you see the other option, you wait for the confirmation. Once it broke the low, we know we're totally going down. And I can tell you this contracting flat, we were totally selling it because we saw the contracting flat and it started to go slowly. And guess what? We knew we were going to get that. We knew this one was going to break. I mean, it's amazing how the traders themselves start saying, yeah, this is going to go down now. And yes, we have a flat here and it's possible it could be a contracting flat from here to buy. They actually got this buy, they got that buy, and I think we stopped it at this buy. When that buy happened, that's when we stopped the running because we know we were doing it, right? But I just wanted to show you that when you're doing the replay, although they know what's happening, when they're replaying it, their thought process is different. At some stage, your thought process change until you see that channel, and then you know the upside starts. So you should try it. All of you should try it. Go, click, cut, and decide. Try to tell yourself what you think is happening. Be honest. Don't look back at it. Just be honest to yourself. Oh, I think this is happening now. And see how much you can get it right. And that is where they start realizing where the concept of wave analysis is important because you're looking at the patterns. You're saying, wait a second. This pattern should do this. This one should do this. And you're starting to figure out. So what conclusions did we came to? We came to two conclusions. One is we're coming down back here for a C wave. That should take about an average of about 11 years. You would want to ask me why 11 years. I'll show you just now. Or this is the absolute top. And then we're coming down back for about 20 years. Those are the two options, right? So where did we get that from? this piece. So you may want to look at this and say, what the hell is this? Well, this was your first impulse down. This was your running flat, regular flat. I think running flat, sorry. This was your running flat. We broke the low. We made 1, 2, 3. Right? That was your running flat. And the C wave here. This C wave here took 12 years. Look at the complex patterns inside. This is amazing. I think all my traders recognize this flat. You recognize this 1, 2, 3. And then you said, we have 1 down. Let's go 1 down. We have 1 up. Let's go 1 up. And now we drop because we have an impulse. We're coming into an impulse. I think that it was slightly strange, this part where you have a 1, 2, 3 for this C wave, but that happens. At least you learned something, that it could happen sometime like that, and that completes the pattern because this pattern is completed. It's easy to see, right? This one is completed. That is easy to see, and then you look at the wave come down, and then you have a deep correction, and we know what happens, right? There was another running flat here. We were doing this running flat with them, showing them that this thing took I think a year to come back down, 10 months to come back down, and I can't remember exactly much, something like about a year and a half before you see that running flat. We were expecting the running flat from this point, right? I think from here you would all see that I'm saying this thing will become a running flat. See, at some point here you will come down and then you will go. That's my running flat. If I'm making forecast, that would be my running flat. It took 2 years for them to see that, yeah, it's actually a running flat. It's correct, but it took you a while to see it, right? So go back to where we were, and this thing took 12 years. This whole thing here took 20 years. So we're making an assumption that if we're in a running flat here, a big running flat, and that is because of this one, I think my traders will understand why I think this should be a running flat, because we have the biggest correction in here. So if this is the B wave of it, then we're making a running flat. This should take about 11 years to come back before we go. We will make a new high, but that's in the next 11 years from now, if that is correct. If I'm wrong and this is the impulse to the upside, let's say this whole thing here is the impulse as a 3-wave structure, because you had a 3-wave structure in the impulse coming up here. You kind of had something like this, right? So if this one was pretty huge, so I could see that as a 3-wave. This one was just at the top. We have divergence. If this is going to come back down as the start of the correction, well, that's 20 years. So it's either going to be 11 years or 20 years. So the only question you should have right now, are we starting that downside? That's your only question. Is the downside started, or do we have more to the upside before we start? Because that downside is coming. You don't have to believe that. That's just a fact. I told you that. You can write it down to remind me. That is coming. There's no question. I've hardly been wrong about these forecasts on the higher time frame, right? So the only question you have, are we starting the downside here, or do we have one more impulse before that's finished? And that is where we come here and we decide that now. We've got an impulse and we're in a correction. As soon as we figure out whether this correction is a contracting flat or is going to make a running flat, we're going to sit on this to go down. So we will start with the assumption that this is a contracting flat. So we're going to be selling here. Every flag you get, you will sell. Let's go back now. Every flag you get, you will sell. So let's see if we get a flag or a correction, we'd look for a sell. This is not much of a flag there, but if they consolidate here, you sell. If they make a sharp move up here, we would look at a possible running flat. This is either a contracting flat. We looked at it yesterday. Yesterday, we looked at this as a contracting flat, and this was your sell setup. This one pull back. We can either assume that that's a running flat. If you get another one here, we sell. We know the strategies of how we're going to sell these. We will sell everything we get until we see a reversal. And if we do get a reversal, then we will buy it back for the possibility of a running flat on a daily and then downside. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the contracting flat. See? So now we will trade it as if that is the contracting flat until we see that this is going to make a move up, and then we'll go with the running flat. So today's trade, you will probably want to wait, since you broke the low, you'll want to wait more for a correction rather than a flag. You'll wait for a 1 hour correction, not the flag. The flag will be dangerous to trade here until they go. After a correction, all flag is up for trading, right? But a correction will confirm the next impulse to the downside. See? So let's see if we get a 1 hour correction, we'll take it, we'll move the stops, we'll stay with it, and let's see how far that goes. Because at some point when you break the low, you might make a bigger correction. And that would be the key to the total downside. Good. Let's move on from there now. Dollar index. We're going up. And the question is, this is a daily correction for probably one more downside, right? That's the thought process. Let's go here. Why we think that is a daily correction for one more downside? Because we're looking at this pattern. 1, 2, 3. At some point, this thing will start to go back up. We're assuming we're going to make a regular flat. That's our assumption, that it's going to be a regular flat. But what if it is not a regular flat? If it's not a regular flat, then they can be starting the upside from here for a contracting flat, right? We will watch this piece to see, and if that keeps going up, we're going to buy. But I am more inclined to believe we're going to come down one more here first for a regular flat and then go up. We'll see. We're gonna make the assumption that this could also be a contracting flat. So go back to the 1 hour, and if we keep getting flags, we keep buying until it stops. Either we get a break even on the last trade or we lose the last trade, but it reverses and we start selling for the next one to the downside. Now, is the correction over for that one? Could be over. I think this is enough of a correction if you want the depth of it. And if you go and do filter it the way we filter, it's a complete wave to the downside. So I think it could be over. Can it be more complex? We know that, right? That's just a rhetoric question for you. So you know how you're going to trade. Could this be a turning point here today? We'll see. Could be. We don't know that, right? So if you took that trade, you're already out of it, which means if you took the euro trade, you're already out of it, right? I think that was a question this morning, and I said, well, we can sell it, but we'll have to be aware that we have divergence, and this is going down really slow. At any point, it could turn, right? So if we put that trade on, we're looking to take it off, and we will wait. We don't have any confirmation as yet. You know the rules of taking it off, right? So I'm not sharing that rule here. So we will look for this. If we get a sharp one there, we'll still be aware that it could be a running flat. Remember yesterday, we were all watching this with good thing that this could probably be the one that go. Wait for the flag. We didn't get a flag. It dropped lower. If you took the sell here, you did good. You got break even. If you take this sell here, you got break even. Is it going to repeat what this did? Right? Remember, we sold this. We closed that trade yesterday for profit. We closed the trade right here at this level, booked that profit because we saw this going up, right? Now, if this goes up like that and stop there, we'll get another running flat and we'll repeat this sell. Right? We'll repeat that sell. But if it goes up and make a flag, we're all buying. Because we know that there's one more impulse up. Right? When we make the first sell here, our target was way down to the bottom. The first sell was somewhere here, the target is at the bottom here. I think they can turn anytime. We're getting internal divergence here, so I wouldn't be surprised if it turns. Pound, you have a small flag here, and I warned the selling of this flag could be a running flat because we're getting the flat inside of this move. It could be a running flat, which means we come back here. If we go back there, could this be the end of the move and this goes up? Possible. We can look for a buy. When it breaks the top, we move into profit and see. That is if this is going to go up. If they just consolidate, we'll see. I think it's going to go up because either they come here, break the low, and then make a running flat, and then we'll sell, or it's a regular flat and we buy this piece in here. So 4 hour, what's the big picture? Two ways to look at it. Either we're making a running flat here, this entire piece or a part of it, right? Either a running flat and we're going up, or we will make a flat here, we'll make a deeper correction here, and we'll go down. So we will take the buy, and they will confirm the upside for us, or they will literally show us the downside. Once they turn at this point, we'll get out of the trade and we'll be looking for downside. See, those are the two options, and we'll see which one works out. Take this off. I think we might be at a turning point. We're getting divergence here, and we're getting divergence in the 1 hour. See that? So we might be at a turning point here today. We'll be looking for the buy setup. So if you're in this sell, you're actually about to close that one because we'll be looking for the buy. New Zealand. New Zealand crawled down a little more. That's okay. I thought they'll stop somewhere here, but they went down a little more. We haven't broken the bottom of this impulses yet, so we're still in a running flat pattern, which means I'm still expecting this to go up, right? It is still very, very possible. breaking this low is a norm. Coming a little deeper is normal. Breaking this low would change the pattern. Right? If we break that low, then the daily correction would be starting and it will be different. Right? We will be looking at it. This is a 1, a 2, go back up, but this time you're going back up for a running flat that will come back down. You'll still go back up. It doesn't matter whether we break this low or not. We will still go back. It just changes the pattern in the daily for us. That's all. With a double running flat pattern. My traders should get that immediately. Right? If you didn't get that, then you have to learn wave analysis. That is to the general public who will be viewing it. By the way, I think a lot of things that I'm saying, I personally understand what I'm saying. I'm hoping that my traders gets it, and I'm pretty sure they get it. If you're new and you're watching this for the first time, you might want to know what the hell is this guy talking about, running flats and double running flats and double expanding flats. Here's the problem. You have to learn wave analysis. You just have to learn it. There is no alternative to you understanding how the market structure works, right? Anybody tell you anything else is messing with you. There's only one way you can master this, is learning this thing, right? So let's see, we will be looking for the turning point, especially in this area. Let's see if we get it today. It's going pretty slow. We're getting divergence. We can see that. If it breaks this low, if we get a perfect flat, we'll sell it, which means if this thing does something like this, of course, we'll take the sell to break the low and then look for the upside. But if we get a reversal today, we'll be looking for a buy. Right? We saw that running flat. Who wanted to sell it, sold it. It's not a big move and you're not getting much out of it, right? With a lot of slow movement in it. Swiss, it's going up. We looked back to this yesterday, whether we're going to get a running flat or whether we'll consider the contracting flat we're looking at also. We'll see. It could still come back and give you the running flat. We know that. You're getting flats, buy. They don't move far. I showed you yesterday. They don't move very far. They make another one. So this one will probably come here, and somewhere here it will either start to make another flat or reverse back for this and then go. So if you're taking the trades, you have to know that you have to take the profit out of it every time because it's not going far. I think we're going to break the top. That's for sure. You can see each one of these flats and you can see how far they go, and they're getting shorter. So at some point, we will either get a deeper correction and then we get a proper buy trade, or we actually come back here and then go. This would be upside, right? This would be upside. We'll confirm more upside on this because even if this pulls back here for a running flat, if we pull back here for the running flat after breaking the top, we're still going to go up. Right, let me take this off. This was the running flat thing. If we pull back here, we're still going to go up. If we make a bigger flat after you take this trade, you'd have to take your profit off. If they make a bigger correction, well, good for us, we'll be buying. So I would anticipate once they break there, we don't have divergence in here, so I think it's a continuation pattern. The only question is whether they're going to come down sharp or they're going to make a flat. You're getting divergence inside of this on the 1 hour. See? Internal divergence. By the way, that's a terminology nobody else uses beside me. Internal divergence, and you don't know what that means probably. So we'll look for this. And then there's a good chance you either make another flat, you can buy again, or you start to come down sharp or make a bigger correction. Either way, it's an up move, it's an up move, it's an up move. So it doesn't matter which of those three happen, we're still looking for buys. Yen, we're already trading this. This is about the third trade this is about the fourth or fifth trade we're taking on the yen. The first trade was here. We closed that one there. The second trade is this one. We took it here. We put it for the group on that one. We were still in this trade. We took one here. We closed it yesterday. We bought it back. We closed it break even. We took another one here. We closed that one. That one, I'm not sure. We took it. Some of us took it, and some of us are still in this one going. But we didn't put it in the trading room. For some reason, I don't know why nobody put it. So we didn't put it. We are putting an entry order here. This is consolidating, and we think it's going to go. I think this will continue to go. Big picture was we were expecting it to at least come back to this top. We're looking at the big picture like this. So we wanted to either come back to this top here, and then we will look for a possible running flat here and maybe one more down, right? Just like we have an expanding flat here and one more down. So I think we're probably looking for that, or they're going to take off. So we're trying to keep the buys. We have at least one we're keeping. and one will be, once it trigger, we'll go break even. By the way, these are not trade calls for anybody out there. If you're watching this, these are pretty much explaining how we would trade it in our trading room, right? This is not a trade calls or such, because the way we manage them, you don't know. Remember, I said we made about 4 or 5. We happen to manage our way out in the 2 or 3 of them for break even and small profit. You wouldn't know how to do that if you don't understand our strategy. So these are not trade calls for anybody. These are just how we trade. This is how I show my traders how they should trade it, right? So let's go. CAD. CAD is going pretty aggressive. We want the up move. So the question is, are we going to cancel the running? Is it negating the running flat for the big up move? We know the big up move. This is going to be the first up move in the correction, which is going to be about 700 pips. We already measured that. So the question, if we're starting the up move here for the daily correction, which is going to be a daily correction, let me just show the traders out there what I mean by that. We're looking at this possibility. See that? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we have made the 1, and the question is whether we're starting the 2 part of it. That is this. Each one of these up move is about 500 to 700 pips. So the question, are we starting it, or we're still in the correction of a running flat, one more down and then start that? So until we exclude this running flat here, it could come here and then start the move up. That will happen. It's just a matter whether it's started already or not. We're breaking out. We're going really aggressive. So the confirmation of that will be, give us another correction, right? We don't have corrections. We're having a lot of flags to the upside, not correction, right? So if we get some more correction here, if we get any correction, this size, I don't know, slightly bigger than that. If we get a correction here now, that would confirm the upside, and we will still have about, I think, about 400 pips to get on that trade. The one single trade that should go up to finish the first impulse in the correction. After that, we'll just trade the correction as we go. We have very clear idea how to do that. So this is it. You can take flags, but you'll have to be very careful. This was a buy this morning. You'll have to put that to break even. If you take this buy here, there was a small flat here, you probably see it in the 15. Right? There's a small pullback. You can buy above that. If you took that trade, you're putting it to break even, because at any one time, this could either reverse back for a downside, which means we are still in the running flat, or it will make a bigger correction. It makes another flag, you can buy again. Pretty much the same thing, right? Aussie, I showed you all the Aussie pairs, so I'm just going to skip them. It's still going down. If you get flags, like I said, if you get small ones like this, sell them. You don't have any right now. We had yesterday, you had this one, and if you get another one here, sell it. Because we don't know where it's going to stop. But once it stops and reverse, we get a flag, we're going to buy. But for now, if you get another, you can't sell here. You have to wait until you get a consolidation. Every time you get a consolidation, you can sell, right? Sell, take the profit. Don't keep it. All right, or move your stops so that it will take you out when it starts to go back up. Aussie Yen, same thing. We don't trade this one. Aussie Swiss, same thing. Right, you're coming to the lows. You still have a lot on the Aussie Swiss to go. If we're coming to tag this low here now, there's still a lot to go. So you can trade. Go to the 1 hour, find corrections, find flags, trade it. Aussie CAD, we're at the low almost, but we're the low here. See that? We're almost at the low. So, but there's still trading to go. I think we would relook at this piece, because we were thinking we were going to get a running flat here, and it could still be an expanding flat on the way up. There's also a possibility that we're overlooking this part maybe as a running flat there, with a 1, 2, 3 down here, and then a 1, 2, 3 here. We'll see. We'll know. If all of them lined up equally here for the upside, we'll buy. If this is an expanding flat, the move will be to the upside. So once this is finished, you're still looking for the upside. Where would that finish? I don't know. Keep selling. Every time you get a flag, take the trade, move the stop into break even, and then move it into profit, because you don't want it to turn and take you out for a loss. You rather let it turn and take you out for break even, right? Euro-Oz, we're back at the top here also. And Euro-Oz, we also have that situation where we thought this was 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and this would go. We actually sold here, and then it went back. It make a new high. And we said maybe a flat here, one more up, and then it actually came down. So now we can look at this differently. We can look at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if this is all, we're going to go down, which means we're looking at this as a correction. This one doesn't fit in. And that is why I think we're looking at 1, 2, 3, come back down here slowly, go back up there, and then drop. I think that possibility is more likely, but it has to come back down from somewhere here when it's finished, right? So let's go see in the 1 hour. You don't have anything right now. You'll have to wait. If you get a correction, if you get a flag or a correction, you can, it's at the top, but if they make a flag here so you can buy, that would be one trade. You'll take profit. They make another flag, you buy. We don't know how it's going to go, but once it starts to turn, you want to be out of the trade and you want to look for a sell setup. When would that happen? I don't know. Pangos, pretty much the same thing. All right, remember when this was here and I said, hey, this thing is likely going to be a running flat because I don't think this here is the final impulse. This was dropping. I said, yeah, they'll probably come. This was a sell, some of you remember. And then we were saying like, okay, we close the trade. We're thinking with this would go back up. It wasn't looking very aggressive. It was looking like, darn, they're going to fall. And now they're going. So if we get a running flat, great. If that turns out to be a running flat, that'd be amazing. We'll find it and we'll sell it. Can we buy more to the upside? I think so. If you get flag, you keep buying, right? If there's any flag there today, you can buy because there's still a lot to go for a running flat. And we don't know if it's an expanding flat. So you get a flag buy, you get a correction, it starts to make a correction, that is even better yet. That's a bigger impulse to the upside. Aussie, New Zealand, probably stay out of it. It's not going anywhere and it probably wouldn't go anywhere soon. I think we've got some small trades in this. That's about it. This correction will eventually go up, but I don't think it's ready. I don't think this is the one going up. So we'll wait and see. Euro, New Zealand, nice up trade. There was an expanding flat here. I think a couple of our traders saw that. They took the trade. We didn't look at that in the trading room. By the time we saw it in the trading room, it was gone, but a few of our traders got the trade, those who see it. Again, we're with this dilemma, right? Is this the end of the down structure? Then we're totally going up. We're totally going up back if that's the case. Or we could be in some kind of a more complex pattern forming here. If we get flags, we'll buy as if we're going back to the top there. This pattern is not very clear, right? Because we thought this would have been the running flat. I think this one here. Oh, no, sorry. We were looking for an expanding flat on this one, but it's not going. It could still go, right? There could still be a 1, 2, 3 somewhere here and we go down. That possibility still exists. So we'll keep an eye. We know that New Zealand would likely make a spike to the upside. If New Zealand does that, this is going to be a trade. So keep your eyes on that. We'll see. Eurocad. Okay, we're waiting for this trade to finish what it's doing and come down. It will have to come down here before they go. This is a big correction. So at some point, this thing is going to come down. But you can see the way this came down and you can see the way that go up. So when it's in here, you probably just stay away from it. We broke the top, so if you put this as all the correction breaking the top there, then this here should be making a flag or a correction for downside, this piece, right? If we assume that this is the top of this correction here, and I think we could fairly make that assumption, then this piece needs to don't break the top, make a correction, and we can look for sell setups, right? That is if that assumption is correct. If that is incorrect, then we're making an expanding flat here or running flat, and then we're going up some more. I think I'll go with this making a correction for downside. If we rather don't get the trade, I'm not looking for a buy-in. This is yet. Euro Yen, it's coming down and you probably have another sell here, right? You can take the sell. We don't know that it's going to stop here. We're making an assumption it's going to stop here because we're looking for an equal size like this, but it could go lower. You might get a drop that you will get enough to take profit. Could drop like this, and then we're looking for that. You could take profit here. Worst case is you'll try to get it to break even. We're just putting this as being an equivalent of that. It could be bigger than that. Euro Swiss, we're waiting for this trade. I think we have an entry order on this already for a sell. We're waiting for this trade. It's coming down. Let's see if they break out. If they break out of that, we're expecting them to drop. Hope they go fast and not slow. So we'll see how that goes. Euro Pound. Okay, we might finally get something here if they break out. So now that they're consolidating here for us, we'll watch this. Either this goes back up all the way back to the top here. We'll look at this as an expanding flat, a regular flat. Go back there, and then we look for the sell. I think that's the most possible scenario. Yesterday we discussed it. Remember when we didn't break the top, I said, well, but they'll come down and go back up most likely. I think that's the most likely scenario. We don't have to get the buy, let it go, break the top, and then we'll look for the sell. This would be your flat in the middle, and you will get 1, 2, 3. This would be the low. So that question of where is the low now that we had in the trading room, we had 2 or 3 options, and of which one? One option, this is the low, another option, this is the low. All depending on what the pattern you look at. Well, if we get this flat here and we go there, then that becomes the low. The low is where we're stopping and then we're going up. So this would be easy. Let's hope. I want them to break the top because that will give you a very, very nice trade to the downside afterwards. Pang Yen? It's kind of going sideways. Remember why we didn't want to buy that? I said if you buy it, break the top, take profit or move your stops because it could be a flat and you get one more down, right? We spoke of a possible flat and they will go one more downside. When it comes one more down, then we would look for the buy setup. Come back here, and then we look for the buy setup, which means Europon can go one more up, right? Let's see if we get this downside, and then we look for the buy setup. I don't know if you get a sell here, you can take it. If there's no sell, let it drop, and then we look for the buy. Pankad, you can take the buys now. We're getting a flat. That's great. We're getting this here. This. If you put the entry order, you'll have to put a stop as if it's making a running flat, right? It could come back here and then go. So we'll look into it, but this is a clear buy and you're getting a good move to the upside. So I think it's worth taking. We will look for this trade. That's a nice buy setup. Is there a bigger move to the upside? Yep, potentially there is. So we look at it 2 ways. Either this is the start of this big move to the upside, right? Or it's just a flat, that's a good trade, and then we'll look for downside. And I think we could be starting that big move to the upside. There's a good chance that, we're looking at a big, because this would be a contracting flat here. We didn't break this low. The idea is we wanted it to come and break that low. Bigger picture, we were in this whole pattern. See? We're in that pattern. So what we thought was this would make a flat and come here. But if it doesn't make a flat and come here, then we might go retest the top and then come back. We would relook at this flat. Right, remember there's a potential that this is the bigger expanding flat. We originally had it. We were making impulse. We make a flat in here. See? We make an impulse. This is the flat. You go test the top, and then you start to come down from there. That's one option. The second option is this is a running flat in there. This is your first impulse down. We're making a contracting flat. Sorry. We're making a contracting flat in this one. Let me take out this. I don't need this. We're making a contracting flat here, right? This piece, and this is a flag, and that means we will drop straight through the bottom here, and then probably go straight through. So come back to the 1 hour, and this is your confirmation. We have a buy setup, regardless of what we're buying. We're buying this once it comes back here. We're buying this to break the top. And from this point, it's either up or it's down. So when we take this trade, we'll figure that out when we get there, right? So it's going to be easy. Once you get that, it's either going to turn and we get a very nice trade to the upside, or it continues to go and we're in a big trade to the upside. Sorry, we get a nice trade to the downside, or it continues to go and we're in a big trade to the upside. Pound Swiss, similar structures. We're looking for an up move, and this might not be the start of it. This might just be a bigger flat in the middle here. Right, this piece might just be a bigger flat, come back here, and then we'd get that trade. I think we're going sideways, so there's no question of, I think the only question is what we're going to do with this piece here. Take that off. Yeah, I think we'll probably go with a bigger flat because it's coming down. Let's see how far it comes, and then we'll see. If this turns out to be some kind of a correction for upside, we can only buy above the top. Or if we make a flag somewhere where we can see it. But with this big flat in here, I think we're going for one more down, and then we'll get the upside. Pound New Zealand. Okay, this one is already going up. Yep, we didn't break the low. Not a good thing when you didn't break the low. Right? I hope they've broken the low before we go. It doesn't have to break the low, it's a running flag, but if it had broken the low, it would be amazing. So now we'll have to look for 1 hour flags and buy. We might be getting a running flat here today. That would be a good trade. If they pull back like this, we'll take it as a running flat. So any pullback, we're buying. New Zealand yen. This one, we're looking for one more up. It just went down a little more. What if this is all the correction? Let's just go with what if that is all the correction. And we're going down. We broke the top, right? So we have to go back up. See, if that is all the correction, we broke the top. So at some point here, we still have to go back up. We still have to make one more upside. Let me take these out. These are gone already. This was the flat that we were going to get, and then we're going to go down. So this one was correct. That worked perfect. We got the flat. It went down. And now we're looking for this trade to go up. Take this off. Let's see what the bigger picture is showing us. Yep, that one could not only go, it could take off. We're breaking out of this structure. See? We're breaking out of that daily structure, daily, weekly structure. So if this is going to be a running flat, good for us. It could be an expanding flat even. This is going, we know New Zealand looks like a running flat. So if this one is more conforming than the New Zealand has only one piece of correction inside. This has 3 waves in it, right? So go back to the 4 hour. And whenever this turns, I don't know if it's an expanding flat. If it's an expanding flat, they will go lower. But whenever it turns, we're going to go up. So we just have to sell until we get the turn. Do we have a sell set up here? You had a sell set up. There was a sell set up on this one. If you wanted to take the trade, you know how to trade that. That's a small one. It goes a little more, put it to break even. Because at any point, it can turn. At any point, this thing could turn. We have divergence. And that means at any point, every flag you get, you sell, move it to break even. You can keep selling because it could be an expanding flat, which means we could go and break, not only break this low, we could go lower than this low, right? So that will be an expanding flat. But for a running flat, this is okay. It's the size of this one right now. If you're thinking about a running flat, you're looking for something that might be like this and go back up. I think we're pretty much there already. So at any point of time, the New Zealand and these New Zealand pairs could turn to the upside. New Zealand Swiss. This one should go up. Remember, we think this is a complete flat. This is a flat of its own here. This piece is a flat of its own. Take that out. Right? And this could be a flat of its own forming here now. And that flat could go up. We broke the low. Because we remember we were looking at this and we said, well, these waves are sharp. This is a perfect 1, 2, 3. This is a sharp move up. We just need a flat here to go. Can this come lower? Yeah. If they come way low to the bottom here, that just makes a different pattern and a whole different structure. But I don't think we're going to go that low. So what we have to see is we have divergence here and we're getting internal divergence there. So at this point, we want to see whether we're turning. We don't have a turn, which means every sell you take, like this sell, if you took that sell, you want to move it into profit. And every sell you take here in a flag, a 1 hour flag, you have to move into break even very fast. We're getting some divergence here too. So every flag you take, if you took that flag, or if you take this flag, or if you get another flag here and you take this flag, you'd have to move it to break even really fast because at some point this is going to happen. Right? It could happen really fast. I'm going to take this out not to give you any bias. I'll leave this so you know we break the low. All right? Let's go. New Zealand CAD. Okay, what is this thing? Stay away from this. This is not confirmed as yet. It could go up, but we can't confirm this is a running flat as yet. An expanding flat in that case. right? We wanted this to go break the top and then tell us if they're going to come down. But could this be an expanding flat? Maybe, maybe not. I'll not go into this one as yet. We have to get confirmation, a lot more information than that to confirm whether that is an expanding flat. So if you get flags here, sell. If we get flags, sell. They're making a flag right now. I think you would probably get this go back up here. You can get this to go back up there, and if that turns out to be a flag, sell. Right, that would be a sell for downside. Just move your stops. Cat Swiss, we're in this trade already, right? We're in the sell already in this one to the downside. I think we have this also on the thing. So we'll see whether we come and break this low. We're assuming we're going to go break that low because we have got a nice running flat there, expanding flat, sorry. And we've got another expanding flat in there, and we're selling. It's moving slow, but sometimes that moves slow, so it's okay. Swiss. Okay, you're getting finally you're getting something that makes sense here. We're breaking out of this, but that is not the upside. Put it there. You can see this is a move up, a move down, a move up. You're looking at this piece. And you're looking at this piece. So you're going to come back down one more, and then you're going to go back up, and then you're going to go down, right? So probably wait, leave this alone. You're going to come down back like this. You're probably going to go back up like this, like the first one, and then you're going to go down. That's most likely what I see is going to happen here. Leave this alone. Going up nicely, right? It's actually following the arrow. That arrow was there for a while. This was your first buy. I didn't follow it up very much, but this would have been a flat. You can buy here. I would say you probably would be in a buy there right now, right? Those are the trade setups, and then you'll have to move your stops. We don't have divergence. How far can this go? Oh, you can go high. I think we were expecting it to go back somewhere here. Why were we expecting that? Anybody remember? We started that from this point. I'll tell you from where we started. We started from this point here when we break that low, that this could go back up there, right? This one could have gone back there, then this one would go back, and then it drops some more. And if you were following me, you would wonder, why the hell is this guy say we have to get this thing up? Well, we got it. What's next? Downside. See, the magic happens. We knew that impulse was coming. We knew it. Go back and watch the past webinars because we know the patterns. We know when we see this, that's a running flat. So it's a matter of when that is finished to go back down. When this is finished, we're going to go back down. So every flag you get, can it be an expanding flat? Of course. If you don't know what an expanding flat is, that means they can come and break this top, but still go down. This would still be an expanding flat. I just showed you one in the Swiss, right? The Yen's, Swiss Yen, was it Swiss Yen or Cat Swiss? An expanding flat. So this is going to, you can trade this up, but you know you have to be very cautious. This was your first trade, and that if you took that trade, I think it was Monday, that was amazing. All right, when was this, Monday? I think so. September 20th. I showed that trade in live. Go back, watch the webinar. You'll see that's your buy setup, and you're doing well. This one, we also showed this. This was the buy setup in it. You're going, and you're pretty much, this one pretty much looks upside. It could still go back down, but we already had this flat here. So the question is whether this is 1, 2, 3, and we're totally going up to make a new high. If not, then we're going to go down some more, and we're going to get a series of patterns forming here, right? So this one, you have to be careful here now, whether they're going to break out or not, right? Or whether they're going to continue the downside with a series of more patterns like that. Got in? We're looking for this buy. If it goes lower, we'll cancel it. We're looking for a buy, but if it becomes a flat, I think this will be difficult for traders who don't know what we do. If this becomes lower here, we'll expect a flat and downside. As it stands right now, we're looking for an upside. So in a matter of a couple hours, the direction could change because it changes from a flag to a flat. Now, if you don't know what that means and why we're looking for the change in direction, the downside will be short-lived. The upside is the long trade. Because at some point, we think that this thing has to go back and break that top. And once it breaks that top, we will be having a very big move to the downside. If it starts to go down from here, then we will have to relook at how we look at this piece. It could possibly go. We'll just have to relook at how we, how we're going to label this pattern and how we're going to look at it and what pattern we actually have. This could become a much long drawn out pattern here, a much long drawn out one. Means they come here and then eventually do that and then go. I don't think that is what we're doing, but we'll see. We'll trade it until we figure out the bigger pattern. So we're looking for a buy, and if that changes to sell, we'll take the sell. That'll happen in the next couple hours. We'll know. US oil. Okay, it didn't break out, so it's still going sideways. I still think you're sideways. We'll have to leave it like that. Yep, if you make a smaller flag here, that could be a good sell. Right, at least to break this low. If they go back up from there, you may want to consider the buy. Contracting flat and buy. Right, that is if it goes above the top. We are expecting this to come and break this low here. But if they don't go and break that low, then you will look at it as a possible contracting flat for upside. Breaking this top means you can get into the buy setup. You saw UK oil? Very similar structure. See this? Come on. You're not breaking out. Right? It keeps going sideways and going back up. If they still stay in the consolidation, if it's still a consolidation, it will be a good sell setup. But if they start to break out, we might be looking at a possible contracting flat here and upside. 1, 2, 3, stop here and then go. So both sides are open right now. Just wait for the flag to confirm the buy or the flag to confirm the sell. You're getting a flag for a sell here right now. If this stays where it is and drop, that's a flag for a sell. If it comes back to the top, well, then we will look for a flag for a buy. Natural gas. Not much of a flag here for the buy. I said wait for a flag for the buy this morning, but you don't have much of a flag there. So now that we're breaking out of this structure, I would want to see more of a correction and then a buy. Right? You want to see something like this before you buy. Something like this. You remember we're selling these down? Something like this. You want something like this that should break. If this didn't break, it reversed. You want this and then see if you get a break. US 30, I'm not going to go through all of this, but we have a lot of traders who trade this now. It did drop, and now you would watch this. Right? Is it this running flat? You're getting a sell setup here, by the way. So take this out. It will be lower. You're looking for two possibilities here. Either this running flat is forming, which means there's one more drop here, at least for now. One more drop, and then this becomes the running flat, and we go up and then come down, or we're already in this running flat here. Well, this would be a regular flat in this case, which means this will just continue to go down. 1 hour. Every sell setup you get, you sell. Right? So that buy setup became a break even. Every buy setup you get, you take. That became a break even trade. I think you know why we would close that for break even. This was a sell, you will get a sell here. This would be a sell setup. Right? It's like this one, for example. See this? That was a sell setup. So this is a sell setup, and we'll see how far it drops. It drops, you get the trade, take the profit. When I said it's a sell setup, I'm stressing on the word setup. It's not a sell as yet. You have to have a strategy to trade it. Right? That's specifically for those traders who are watching this webinar for the first time. So if this thing goes up, he said, this guy said it's a sell setup, but look, this thing come back here. Okay, don't worry, we know what to do. We're pretty much aware that this could start going up anytime if that running flat is playing. So we will sell this with caution, put the stop, go just like we sold that with caution. We'll remain the same thing. And it could still go up. It could make another flag, drop, still go up. That would not change the structure until we see a change in the structure. So sometimes it's complicated if traders don't have the knowledge how to explain this to them. Until they've gone through the course and understand how we look at pattern, that makes it easy. So let's see. S&P 500, same thing. You bought that, you got break even. I don't think you got to sell here because this one dropped really fast. Right? This is not much of a sell setup. So this became a break even. And the same question is here. Is it a running flat for upside, or are we falling totally? If we're going down totally, we'll just keep selling it. So you have a sell setup, sell it. One more drop, take profit. If it drops one more and it stopped, take profit because it could go up anytime. I think the big picture in this one is downside. The small picture is if it's a running flat, you'll get one more up. But the big picture is downside, right? The big picture is coming back to this level for the bigger running flat. So it's which one? The bigger running flat, or do we have a smaller running flat? The more it keeps going down, the less the possibility of a small running flat happening. But you're getting a sell setup here. This is pretty easy. Next. Also went down a little more. I'll be careful with this though. I'll be very careful with this. This could be a reversal right now. See? I'll be very careful with any sells because this one is classical. This one is not that type of running flat. This one is an easy regular flat. So I'll be very careful. This looks like one more up. Very much, if you get a buy setup, go for this trade. BA, it's coming down but very slow. You probably want to be very careful. It's coming down but really, really slow. And so is this. Coming down, you got a sell setup there, really slow. And so is this. Coming down. This didn't break out, so we'll take this off. And let's assume that this was all the correction. And that this is actually a correction. Then if you get a flag here, you sell. Right? So if we're actually correcting this piece and we're going to go down some more, we'll come to break this low. Okay, we didn't break out. We actually went to the upside. You see, we expect this to happen, and now you might get a sell setup here. Okay, we expect this to probably go back up. One more up, and now you have this complete pattern from here. Look for a sell setup. All right, this would be your sell. If you get a flag here, this would be your sell. So keep your eyes on that. Nifty. More downside, so you can sell. I think we're totally going down now in the Nifty. We're totally trying to come back to this low. So any sell setup you get, you can take it. This is also down. This was a sell setup here. I don't know if anybody took that. I don't know who trade these. My traders trade these. And this might be starting the downside now. We have divergence. We broke the top. We might be starting a downside. So keep your eyes out for sell setups. Let's go to the 1 hour and see if we have anything. Not as yet. There's kind of a sharp pullback here. You probably look for a running flat. A running flat will give you a good trade to the downside. Let's go. Bitcoin. Yep. You're getting drops, so you can, it's smaller drops, right? So you might get another one here. You'll have to just wait for the flag, take the drops. It's not going really fast, but they can come and break this low. All right, we're anticipating that they might go and break that low. So this one is going to be more like this with a contracting flat there. So you come, watch and see if they come break the low. Drop to the low, and then we'll see what happens. When they break the low, we'll anticipate that they're going to go up from that point. Right, once the low is broken, we can expect more upside. There's one more upside in this thing. Same here. This was a nice sell, actually. This was easy to sell. We're making flags, look for sell setup. Can we reverse on this point? Did we broke the low, right? We broke this low. Can it reverse? Oh yeah, this can go. You will sell, but you'll be careful. So if you get a flag, you sell it. If we get another flag here, we sell again. But at some point, this starts to happen. So you'll make sure you take profit or at least move to break even. ETH, we haven't broken the low, so I don't see the reversal point as yet. See, we haven't broken the low. I think some more downside is possible. Keep your eyes on it. Could we be making a bigger flat in the middle here? I don't think so. Just have to wait and see. LTC. It dropped, it didn't even break this low. So this one is a little weird. Because we dropped through this, which is normal, but we didn't break this low. So either we're going to drop one more, break the low, or we're going to come back up here and make a bigger consolidation. Okay? Not a buy setup as yet. It's not a very good buy setup, simply because you didn't break the low. This is a better buy setup. We broke the low. See, we broke the low. If you get a buy setup here, you can take it. This is a better buy setup. We broke the low. If you get a buy setup, we can take it. This isn't the buy setup. It could go, but it's not a good buy setup because you didn't break the low, so you're still in correction. And that is not very clear what they're going to do now. So I think I've completed that. My traders get into the trading room and start. I'll join you guys as usual in the next couple of minutes. Yesterday, and I was Today, let's see what we have today. We don't have a lot of events today to mingle with, to mess with the market, so it's going to be very smooth trading. Get in the trading room. I'll see all of you there. For all the other traders out there, please Google anything that free webinar, Forex webinar, stock webinar, whatever, and scroll down until you see my video. Click on it, watch it to the end, and then share it. That will help the Google search engine share it to more people. Thank you very much for that help. It will take you about 10 minutes or 5 minutes of your time. I hope you can find 5 minutes to do that. You will help somebody else see where the videos, and you can share the videos to as many people as you want. I still have to do that short video about the group because there was a question about what we do in the group. I'll do a short video. I promised to do it in about 3 weeks now. I hope I can find the time to do it because I'm very busy in the trading room and with other things. But if I find the time, I'll do it. I'll try to do it before this weekend so you get it, because this is the second to last free webinar for this week. Tomorrow is the last webinar. You have enough material to decide whether you want to learn this stuff. For all the traders out there who are watching this, I think you have. I'll probably talk about that in my webinar that I'll do about the group. So you can make a decision. I think you can make a decision. So I'll leave it to that. Have a great day, trade with care, and I will see all of you tomorrow again. I'll see my traders in a couple hours. Take care. Bye-bye.